John has said that he is waiting for a phone call from you to see if you would play with the band again.
Darling, listen.
I'm Allison Hagendorf. America, this is the next. Hello, Times Square. Hello, Madison Square Garden. Welcome to X Games Aspen. I'm Allison Hagendorf. I'm the live announcer of the B&E. Welcome to Rock This with Allison Hagendorf.
Yeah, this is Allison Hagendorf.
Hello, my fellow music lovers, and welcome to the Allison Hagendorf Show.
Hello, my fellow music lovers, and welcome to the Allison Hagendorf Show. This is where we celebrate the universal love of music and the rock and roll spirit that lives in each of us. I'm so glad you're here. We are coming to you from DWP Studios in Los Angeles, and I want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Cloudwater, who helped make this show possible along with you. Your support means the world to me. Thank you. My guest today is the legendary Grammy Award-winning musician, songwriter, producer, and former Bon Jovi guitarist, Richie Sambora. One of the great things about Richie and Bon Jovi is their New Jersey pride. And although I'm not from New Jersey, I am from Rockland County, New York, which is about 20 minutes across the New York-New Jersey border. So I 100% understand and respect that tri-state area pride. My family came over from Europe through Ellis Island and just never left. That New York pride is in our blood. I still think New York is the greatest city, but I will admit that this New Yorker who hated on LA my entire life now prefers to live in LA, and I love it. I am grateful, though, that as a young adult, I got to live in Manhattan for over 15 years, cutting my teeth, hustling, constantly on the grind. And by the way, not that I'm not still doing that now, but the physicality of that in New York City, in the elements, is something you can only understand when you live there. When you leave your apartment, you have a massive bag packed with weather gear, outfit changes. There's no car to leave stuff in, and you are on foot all around the city in all types of weather. And by the way, this was before Uber, so you had to fight for your taxi. I mean, on a rainy day around that 4 p.m. shift change, you would hail and secure that cab to the end. Even going to Trader Joe's, insanely stressful. There was always a massive line. So you had to put a basket down in line to secure your spot. Then you would frantically grab groceries, throw them in the basket, push it up the line, and then grab more. Then once you finally pay, you have to carry all of your groceries to your apartment, rain or shine. I would wear weightlifting gloves and make it a workout doing a farmer's carry of groceries all the way home. So hardcore, so grateful. And very happy I am in LA now. But New York, you will always have my heart. Okay, coming up after this short break, we have Richie Sambora here in the studio. Stay tuned. My guest today is a legendary guitarist, singer, songwriter, producer, Grammy Award winner, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Songwriters Hall of Fame inductee.
Okay.
That's right.
Please. Yes.
The former guitarist of the
Did I
band
actually
Bon
do
Jovi.
all that stuff?
Yes.
Jesus,
You-
I don't remember half of it.
It's amazing. He wrote so many hits that you know about. Livin On A Prayer.
For God's sakes.
Richie Sambora, welcome to the
Hey,
show.
thank you
oh my
very much.
God, I love that. You're the only person who interrupts his own introduction because you know what? You need none. So you were right. We should have just cut
Oh,
to the
thank
chase.
you, darling. I'm really sorry.
Richie, are
yeah,
you
I'm having a
joking?
good time, you know.
No, so am I. I know. I'm like going to fly off this seat. I'm so excited. Firstly, look at this gorgeous outfit. Can we see the boots? Let's see the boots.
I bore my blue
Blue
suede shoes
soft like butter.
for you.
Beautiful.
I swear to God.
Did you?
You know, I had no idea. I said to myself, man, you know, I haven't really talked to anybody in a long time about anything. You know.
Yeah.
Cut my mouth
I'm
shut.
honored that you decided to sit with me.
I'm honored that
it
you-
means so much to me, truly.
Hey, no, and thank you, because you are bringing rock and roll back.
Oh,
You know, and
on a mission.
you, man, me too.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
it. You know, I mean, that's definitely what's going on.
It is. I just want to congratulate you on this new music. Can we
you.
just start there? I had I Pray like on a loop as you were arriving because I'm just so amped about it. I can't even imagine how excited you are to get this new music out. I mean, how does it feel right now? It's so invigorating at this point in your career to have such great new
It's
music.
not- yes, for a man of my age, it's kind of an amazing thing. But you know, this was something that I've been making records, you know, for pretty long time now. So and I never actually stopped. So the craftsmanship of making records is my pleasure to do.
Right.
And I don't hear a lot of artists like taking the time to actually do those kind of things anymore. But I do have the luxury of not having to worry about a #1 hit or anything
Right.
like that, because that would be facetious. I would have to be 18 or something like that, or doing something like that. So this is a specific genre, and I kind of hit it when I hit it.
And it's just great. I mean, I
Oh,
Pray,
thank you.
just out the gate. It's such a beautiful, anthemic, rockin' song. It's a banger.
Yeah, and you know what? If you listen to the lyric, it's about, really, I'm just a reporter on the scene as a songwriter. Just going, hey, we need to at this point, because things are a little bit discombobulated in this
Yeah.
world, and so yeah, I was like the guy on the corner watching everybody go by, and was able to put it into words
Yeah.
and music, and Bob Rock and I knocked it out of the park. I mean, I think we knocked it out
Did.
of the park.
And I love that you and Bob have reconnected for this.
You know what? There's 4 records that I've done.
Yeah.
Besides the Bon Jovi stuff that me and Bob looked at each other one time. We said, "How many records did we sell? You think?" Like 68 million, 78, whatever that
Yeah,
was.
something like that.
And
Yeah.
we always had an amazing relationship, and we were the guys that were working overtime. Like we'd stay in the studio later, and then I'd go home and do homework.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, the whole bad boy thing, happened when I was like 22 or something like that. And that was my role
Right.
in that band. So, and I said, oh, I'll take it.
What's the songwriting process like now and working with Bob?
You know what? A lot of the songs I've actually written by myself. But, I'll send Bob an idea, and then he'll start a track on it, give it back to me, and then I'll, put my stank on it, and then he comes over and we just kind of do it, and then we get some of the greatest musicians that we can find at the time, a bunch of guys from Paul McCartney's band, Abe, on drums, I mean, guys from Sting's band, and guys that have been playing with me, from Peter Gabriel to you know what, I always thought, since I was putting my time in on a corporate level with the Bon Jovi thing and doing all that stuff, that my solo albums were able to be more artistic,
Right.
and not, I didn't have to worry about that kind of thing. I was basically expressing myself. And what that means is just showing what your roots are. It's an amalgamation of what you've learned and ingested in your life. And I happen to be a guy that ingested a lot. So I read a lot of records, I mean, I read a lot of books too, but
Yeah.
reading a record is, I mean, I got 20,000 listens into Beatle records and
Wow.
Rolling Stones records,
Yeah.
because I go back.
Great.
I was born in that era.
That's right. And, my question is, though, is this going to be an album? Is it going to be a handful of songs? Is it just going to be coming as
Ask
you feel them?
Merck. You have to ask him. I don't know a damn thing. You know
Right,
what?
right.
You know what? I think it's like,
We have 4 great ones now.
thank you.
Yes.
And there's probably 2.5 more albums worth of the same kind of passion. I believe that now I think people's attention spans are a little bit less.
Yeah.
People can't get through an album.
Right.
They don't maybe have the time in their lives because they have so many things to
Right.
do. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of things to do. You can't sit down, open up a record, and look at the lyric and see how it pertains to real life in the present moment, and also how it pertains to you. So as a songwriter, I always tried to be a reporter on the scene, yet ingest what was happening in the present moment and put myself in everybody's shoes so they could feel, we all feel it together.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was and I think that was one of the things that we did well in Bon Jovi, really, is just bring people together through, my life circumstance.
Right,
basically.
right. Well, let's talk about Thank You, Good Night. And you.
Thank you. Good night.
Now, you watched it with John, right?
Yes, the beginning stages of it. Yeah, I did.
Right. And what was that experience like?
You know, hey, look, this obviously was his personal perception, and his whole documentary was his perception, his baby. I really had nothing to do with it, and there were some incongruencies about time periods and this and that, and it continues on, but yeah, I think that I disagree with a lot of stuff or whatever, but I'm not I'm not really shaken by it, at that point, and it gave me a platform to go, here's some new music now,
right?
Where now it's relevant, because I think a guy that's been around the block like me and my age needed a platform. Merck convinced me of that, obviously.
Well, I think it's just it's a celebration regardless of Bon Jovi, the music. I mean,
it could have been more of a celebration, darling. We could have cut that down to about 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And because to me, the celebration would have been the great songs that we wrote and how we sold all those millions of records and played for people for 30. I was in the band for 32 years, which is unbelievable anyway. Like
it's
five guys could be married for 32 years. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that celebration of those great songs that people really took into their lives, that's what I believed, the 40-year celebration would be myself. But like I said, it was his baby.
Right, it was his baby. Of course, I talk about your departure, and you've said that you don't regret the departure, you regret how you did it.
That's right.
So what would you have done differently if you could go back? What would you have changed about that?
I probably would have left earlier. I might have left a couple albums before, because, I think John was moving into a place where he wanted to not really be a band. He you know what? When we first met, he was thriving to be a kind of, a solo artist in a Bruce way or a Rick Springfield way.
Right.
How that was going to happen to him, and I just said, American rock and roll band. And quite frankly, I mean, it was an ultimatum for me when I just, before Slippery, I went, man, come on, man, let me in. We have to do this. And this is, we have to make this a band situation. If we wanted to, we want to invade the planet and have people accept it. Meanwhile, I think everybody was actually into the same thing, because we were opening up for Judas Priest and Kiss, and that we toured with the Scorpions for 9 months, who were the best when somebody gives you their audience, right?
Right.
But we had so much shit flung at us, you wouldn't believe it, man. I mean, Tico had to wear a Yankees batting helmet and I would hear like nickels and quarters and whatever from every country going, I mean, the Cow Palace in San Francisco, they had to put up the chicken wire, man,
But you were able to take the metal and the hard rock and the rock and bring it to pop, because the songs were that good.
That was definitely the idea.
Yeah.
I just would tell the sound man, turn the guitar up, or else the people are gonna be like, we're gonna get poison darts or something going on, because it was like, see, I was able to see it coming and duck it.
Oh my
but
God.
At least, as a guitar player, during those first 2 albums and the first 2 tours that we did, I mean, Doc McGee he thought the same thing I did. This has to be a rock and roll band. Mm-hmm. So he toughened us up, and he put us out with some heavy people, and we're going, ooh, she's like a runaway. I'm going, Please. You know what I'm saying?
He put you through it.
He put us
Doc
through
knew what he was doing. He
you
sure
know what?
did.
But that's what made it come to a head on Slippery When Wet.
Yeah.
And then that record sells like 15 million records that year and kicks everything in. And we had seeded the garden because we had played everywhere in the world. So every time we opened up for the Scorpions, wherever we were, if there was a day off, we played the theater or a club in that area. And you'd be surprised. It's like if you have a dog, you have to pet it or it's not going to like you.
Yeah.
So in the music business, if you're trying to get around, you have to go back to those places and make sure that you do the press, make sure you go do the shows and talk to people and make sure that your presence were around. I don't think we had, a matter of fact, I know it. It's like fact. I don't think we had a hit song before Slippery. Mm-hmm. And,
So you decided to have many unslippery. Many.
Yes,
many.
That's very,
Yes.
very good.
Many.
Very good.
I mean, I listened to the album again this morning, and it's just unbelievable to have so many
You know what?
smashes.
The spirit of the record was fantastic because it either was going to go south or it was going to be great.
What was your relationship with John at that time and with the band? Like, it just felt like the planets were aligned for that album.
Yeah, it was a band that wasn't a band kind of thing, and he still was pretty much really wanting to be that solo guy. And I'm going, well, you got one more shot with me here, and that's really, it was an ultimatum on my part, really.
I see.
And it wasn't a bad thing. I'm just going, look, this is what I see and what the vision is, and it seems like the world is ready. And the garden had been seeded and then, quite frankly, so we finished Slippery, and I think the biggest American rock band back then was Van Halen. Mm-hmm. They broke up. I went, oh, well, there's the hole, right? And the record was already finished. So I'm saying to myself, yeah, the first record went gold, and we're in debt. And the second record went platinum, and we're still in debt. And then we finished Slippery, and I go, I think we could do like 2 million records on this one, if we go out and just kick its ass, right, and do that. And it turned into, something that was, we became, America's band at that point. And the world was embracing Westernism, and it just exploded. Yeah. And then we didn't even put Livin On A Prayer out first.
Right. It like built up to that moment, and it was just like, see
Then it was over.
Yeah, then it
because,
was over.
That song is about everybody. It's all about inclusion of how everybody has been in that spot in their life where they're going, are we going to get through it? Can we make it together? That kind of stuff, And, my dad got laid off from his job. My uncle got laid off from his job. I mean, so there was a lot of things that were going on around us when that was happening. And like I said, a lot for me, I really consider, there's a lot of different ways to write songs, but being a reporter in the present is, through music and lyric, and people go, hey, wait a minute, I feel like that. I'm feeling like this, And then when you add it with, an event and some rock music, it's a celebration. Yeah. And it truly became something that really caught on all over the world, and I thank everybody for that. I have extreme gratitude for it. Man, sincerely, I mean, every day. I mean, it blows me away.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's storytelling that everyone can relate to, and everyone's celebrating. And plus, the music itself is just so anthemic. It's perfect.
Perfect. When I looked at that audience, and I was the kid that was standing in line for tickets. When I heard Zeppelin was come to the garden, I mean, I lived about a half hour out of New York in Woodbridge, New Jersey. And the train went right underneath the garden, so my mother would let me go when I was young, as long as I came back on the train by 11 o'clock, right? And I saw everyone. I mean, everybody plays the garden.
Yes, of course.
Start spreading the news.
Yeah, and like when you're from New York, I know. The garden is
it's,
everything.
So I had a chance to see everybody. And then the Capitol Theater, which was in Passaic, everybody warmed up there. The Stones would do 5 nights there. I'd be there 5 nights, unloading trucks like a roadie, stuff like that.
That's
like
unbelievable.
The Who, you just name it. I mean, everybody just warmed up there, So I got a chance to see the renaissance of, I believe, that seam in time. I mean, everything was good when I was growing up.
Who was it for you that made you pick up the guitar, though? Because didn't you start with the accordion? Is that true?
I did. No, yes. Yes. And that, yes, I'm Polak.
Mm-hmm.
And I did start with the accordion. And whoever invented the accordion, they are a sadist, because there's a keyboard here and there's 120 buttons that you can't see over here. And then you got to bellow this thing. And, like I'm like a 7-year-old kid, and it's bigger than me, but I'm acing it. Right?
So that was an indication that you had a knack for music.
Yeah, well, I had to change to guitar because you can't get laid playing accordion ever. There's no way. Just you're the wedding singer, and that's what
I
you're
think
gonna
Tommy Lee started with an accordion as well, so it worked out for both of you guys.
It worked out better for me. Tom, I love you.
We love you, Tommy.
We do.
That's amazing. Cheers. This is so good. Okay, so then guitar. Tell me about the guitar.
Well, when my father got laid off from his job, he had to take on another job, right? And he worked on a place called E.J. Corvettes, which was a two vets from Korea that decided to make this kind of almost a Target, a smaller Target, right?
Yes.
So my dad worked in the appliance department, which had these old Japanese guitars for like $30, and they had an amazing record department. So I was able to buy with my allowance maybe 2 records a week. So after my dad being there for a while, this guy put $5 down on a $30 Taisco Japanese-made instrument, and went to his boss and said, "Hey, this guy's not coming back, and we need to get that out to put the new merchandising in, right?" And he paid him $10, and he brought the guitar home. And I taught myself how to play from that guitar. So I just basically took that guitar and woodshedded,
Wow.
Well, I was a kid that made believe I was the Rolling Stones and the Beatles in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Every day.
It was innate for you.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I played like trumpet and sax and obviously accordion and they just moved me around. I just had an ear for it,
Yeah.
So basically it was a $10 guitar.
That's unbelievable. And you also loved Hendrix, right?
Well, Hendrix was improvisation for me. It was to get to the point where you could get around your instrument enough where it came from your head and your heart and your fingers just did what you needed to do, right? So had to figure it out. And plus, like, it was sexy.
Right. So
it was like, you're basically, you are praying. Mm-hmm. You want to get out of your whole body, and jazz essentially is the same thing, and where you're able to have the fluidity actually of just to go, and when I looked at that audio, when I made it after all the circumstance, and I looked at every kid as me, because every time I went to see my heroes, and I got to see them all. I didn't see Hendrix because I was too young.
Right.
Before he died, Mm-hmm. And Janis and Jim Morrison, but I'd listen to Hendrix like constantly all the time. I mean, it's like he was just free.
Yeah.
His freedom was unbelievable. And don't forget the songwriting that he did.
Unbelievable.
You know.
Our son's middle name is Hendrix. We're big Hendrix lovers.
Ah.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
Cole Hendrix is our son.
Wait,
It's cool, right?
that is cool as hell.
Our kid, we're doing good parenting over here. They are raised on Janis, on the Doors, all the same. I mean, it's so, when you think about, you know, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis in particular, it's so tragic. You know, the 27 Club, it's just so horrific.
Man, it's a shame that they had to get that messed up to get to a place. But, you know, it's like, I never knew heroin was that popular. It just never, you know, never got to me or anything like that. I couldn't afford anything anyway. I barely, you know.
Did you, I mean, in your debauchery and wild life, knowing that you love these three and you know the 27 Club, did you ever think about that for yourself? Like, did you ever fear, you know, that you wouldn't? No.
You know why? I'm a pussy. I couldn't, it just didn't resonate with me because I didn't want to be out of control. And plus, I wouldn't do good in jail. Let's face it. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, that would have been rough for me. I wouldn't have made it.
You know, it's also
That's
really,
why I pay my taxes every quarter.
yeah, you're like playing by the rules here. You can't
Absolutely,
mess around.
man.
Yeah.
You know.
But another cool thing about you, though, is, you know, growing up in New Jersey, in addition to being a great musician, you had this drive. Like, you had this work ethic. You were an entrepreneur. I mean, you had your own label. You were a part owner in a New Jersey club, right?
Yes, I was. And that's, you know, I had a couple record deals before I even knew John or anybody like that. And I was trying to monopolize, obviously. I said, well, I'm going to make an independent label. And I had a bunch of deals. And then I realized the political system, obviously, was if you're a manager or you have friends, they're going to get all the marketing money, you know. And basically, you're on a development deal.
Yeah.
When you're a young band and you're just coming up, you know, the case with Swan Song when Jimmy signed me, they blew up. You know, they were like, you know, I mean, and whatnot, and they weren't speaking, and then, you know, my record, you know, ended up baloney at that point, you know. So
You had to make it happen for yourself.
yeah, I figured, you know what, I'm going to do some kind of regional thing, and an investor came in with me. He would come to see me play. I would be playing acoustically in places and stuff like that. And he goes, "Son, how come you're not a star?" I go, "Let me tell you about the bureaucracy of what the business is,
Yeah.
especially back then, you know." And a record deal, God, if you got a record deal, that was like amazing.
That
I mean,
was
that
it.
was, nobody got record deals and stuff like that. So I had a couple, and you know, I was a part of some of that stuff. So it was a growing up process, and it was about getting knocked around, you know,
Right.
and understanding that, so it didn't demoralize you to stop. You know, I figured, well,
It probably drove
I'll get
you
a
further.
normal job, and I'll be in a wedding band or a club band on the, you know, when I could, and do it that way, and until, you know, and continue to learn the craftsmanship of writing songs, and that was matrixed into my system way young, you know, way young.
Right.
Listen to the Beatles and Dylan and Stones.
greats.
Man, I listened to Exile in its entirety the other day, and I was like, "Get out of town," or "Let It Bleed," and then, you know, any Beatles record actually, you know, and I had worked with George Martin a bunch of times, and we became very good friends. I actually did. I already did a couple of his lectures when he put out, like, Sgt. Pepper's How I Did It.
Wow.
He asked me to,
Yeah.
you know, we became friends. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Very full circle.
Yeah,
Prior to joining Bon Jovi, you auditioned for Kiss
I did.
to replace Ace.
But, you know, at that point, I was taking any opportunity that I possibly could take at that point.
Right.
And it was interesting because it was my first time that I came to California. It was like, you know, early on in my career. And I ended up staying here, and I ended up catching a couple of sessions. And I would moonlight in Frank Stallone's band, Valentine, and Take You Back, right, all that stuff. So I would moonlight with them. So I was actually staying in Sly's house while I was here.
That's
you
so
know,
great.
but I mean, with Frank, and then I would pick up a couple sessions, and I said, I had the club at that point, and Alec was running the business of that club at that point, and he says, "Hey, there's this kid Johnny Bon Jovi, you know, I think he's got something. I'm gonna go play with him." I go, "Yeah, I don't, I'll be back in 2 weeks or something like that, you know," and then Dorothea actually worked the bar in that club for me, but I was booking Metallica as a young man. I was booking Anthrax as
Really?
yeah.
God.
I was, when Aerosmith was, when Joe left,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and they were coming back into these big clubs and trying to get their everything together. So yeah, and then I'd book myself anytime I needed a job.
That's I mean, you have been grinding from the beginning. It's
Still
so
am.
much respect, and you still are. It's like it's really admirable.
No,
You're the
thanks.
coolest, Richie. So you mentioned Alec, and I did go back and watch the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction performance, which was so powerful. I mean, that was beautiful, and thank goodness Alec was part of it. And
Yeah, he was still alive. Yeah. No, he was my roommate, and he was the guy actually that said, you should take a look at this, because basically he was in this. The club bands were making like $5,000 a night back in New Jersey back then. And it was bands like Twisted Sister that got deals and things like that. And he was in a very big band. And I go, "What are you gonna do though, man?" I said, "I got some backing." I said, "Why don't we just do something and go for the original thing? And because that's what I'm gonna do. And if you
Right.
care to join me, I would love to have you. And that's how we met. And then he said, "Yeah, you should take a look at that John Bon
Bon
Jovi
Jovi
kid,
kid. Yeah.
Okay, and I showed up, and I saw a lot of talent in John, and then I went back and I said hi, and he was like very, very flippant, like, "Yeah, right, you're," kind of thing. And then 2 weeks later, he called me back and said, "Look, I'm doing a showcase for Chrysalis," and he wanted to do it at my club, which I said, "No problem." He said, "Would you help me out?" I said, "Send me a tape, sure."
got it.
And within 6 months, there was a record deal.
Unbelievable.
Because I had, we both hit the streets. In the old days, you just make cassettes and write songs and go to the A&R people. And I go, "Let me guess, it's Jeff Aldridge from Chrysalis, huh?" And of course it was, yeah.
Right. I mean, you just had to make it happen yourself. Going back to the docuseries again, is there anything that's not in there that you really wish people would know?
Everything.
Everything.
There's one thing that's not in there, and it's everything.
Everything.
Yeah, there's like I said, to me, this is John's baby, and the beautifulness of what the songs did to the world and how
Right,
that
yeah.
unified. And music is the most evocative
Yes.
and the most international language on this planet, and I'm living proof of that, because I could not believe it when in the 80s when we started the tour, it wasn't Western. The world was not Westernized yet. And then a couple years later, everything really changed, and American rock and roll was really, really welcome, almost as my heroes, which were all the English guys, right?
Yeah.
What did they listen to? They listened to American blues music. They loved Muddy,
Right.
and Albert. I mean, and Freddie King and BB and Buddy Guy, and those and Motown and stuff like that. So it was like white people wanting to be black. I am. My heroes are
The best music. It was the
yeah,
best
man.
music.
That's what I want, because it had soul.
It's
They
the
were
soul.
driven by disparity sociologically, really. And so it came out a lot. It hit a lot harder
And
emotionally.
survival.
You know,
Yeah.
It really
For
did.
sure, it really did.
Yeah, and then when Led Zeppelin 1 came out, you go, "What was
Yeah.
that?"
Just his moves, like just everything about
To
embodying
see
the
Led
music.
Zeppelin in Madison Square Garden a few times when you were growing up was
Like, what is that like? Because I had never, they're my favorite band, and I had never got to. I saw Page and Plant on the '97 tour, thankfully, but of course it's not Led Zeppelin at the Garden.
and still an amazing.
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like, that's another weird thing that happened to me. I got to be friends with my heroes. And it's kind of a mind.
That is
It's a
wild.
mind when you think about it. Really.
Yes.
It's like, you go, I hang out with these guys now. It's like, it's insane. You know.
Do you still have those pinch me moments now?
Oh, all the time. I still.
Like who? Like tell me like a
Everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, anytime Bruce calls me up on stage and stuff like that. I mean, I had lunch with Steven a couple of days back. And last time Bruce called me up on stage was in Adelaide. And, you know, Bruce plays for a long time still. And you don't want to ever go on after him.
Right.
So since I was a kid, he was very nice to me. And he would always call me up and kick my ass at the same time to show me that this is what you had to do, kind of thing. You know, and that was very, very cool.
So cool.
And, you know, we're still obviously really good friends. And but he's another one, Jesus. But it's Jimmy and it's McCartney and, you know, the list is like Brian May and Queen. I mean, I just got, you know, Aerosmith. You know, I mean, my last tour, I was opening up for Aerosmith, you know, in Hyde Park. And I was just, you know, not with Bon Jovi, obviously, with my own stuff. And then in Queen and Australia and Japan and Korea and stuff like that. And, you know, you know, it was like, what?
Yeah, that's surreal. It's
Kinda
incredible.
it's like a time compression thing where you go, yeah, I remember, you know, just sitting in my bedroom and woodshedding and trying to just figure the stuff that they were doing out.
But that's so special about you that you're so humble and gracious, and I think that's what makes you you.
I don't know.
That none of this gets lost on you. You know, that's really special.
You know what? I still learn, and then you get you know, Les Paul was a dear friend of mine and invented the electric guitar and also multi-track recording. Mm-hmm. I played with him until he was 93.
Wow.
I got up on stage with Buddy Guy I don't know how many times. He's like 83 and he will kick your ass.
I mean,
up
that's
and
gold.
down. You know, it's like,
Look at Mick and Keith. I mean, they're crushing at 80.
I worked with Don Was on my second solo album on Discovered Soul, and it ran into him starting the next Stones record. So they were in the studio next to me, you know, and I'd be like, so I'd be like in the back, like just watching them their whole recording process and everything like that. And then we got to be friends. And then in '95, we had the two biggest tours in the world. And there was a couple days off and get a call from Mick and they were playing a racetrack in Paris. And they wanted to do 2 nights. And if we would open up for them, it's like the Spicoli thing, man, at Ridgemount High.
Yeah.
I'm going to go John with the I actually did.
Right.
I
You
did
actually
that.
did that.
You know what I mean?
literally
For
did
real.
That. You actually did that in real
And
life.
the first night, we got fruit thrown at us. Well, I did.
Oh my God.
But I was sitting there and listening to mixes with Keith and Don
That's so surreal.
and stuff like that back then, you know. And I actually, half of my Undiscovered Soul record was recording at the Voodoo Lounge.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So you know, it was like you know, it's amazing how small the world.
Yeah. Do you see yourself playing into your 80s and 90s and beyond?
Absolutely. You know, I'm waiting for a master to come through right now on a song called Believe in Miracles. And I'm very proud of it. I think it might, you know, well, according to Merck, I think it might be one of the best things I've done. So I don't know. But I think
such an exciting
I think
time.
I Pray was pretty good.
I Pray is my favorite so far, I will say. So one other thing about the documentary is that John has said that he is waiting for a phone call from you to see if you would play with the band again.
Don't. Listen.
What do you think about
I
that?
had said yes because the fans would just love it. It's not finance. It has nothing to do with that. The world could use it,
Yes.
but as John said, he's been having problems with his voice, and now he had that operation with some plastic thing in his larynx, and it's an iffy thing at best. I mean, you know, I don't know if there's anybody that has ever had that be successful. I'm not really sure about that. And I went to his house
Right.
and we talked about it. I said, how is that now? Like, what's going on? You know, I mean, your brain, physiologically, it doesn't seem almost possible. Your brain teaches this plastic thing how to
Function to work for itself.
like almost like you got to relearn speech in a
Yeah.
way and things like that. You know, so like I said, first time I've ever really heard of that operation or something like that. So, you know what? I mean, I would definitely go. And, you know, I mean, I Pray was, you know, earmarked almost for Bon Jovi.
Right.
It's almost going to be that It's My Life moment.
I sense that. Yes.
It was going to be that It's My Life moment. And if John and I did a duet on that particular song, and Merck is the guy that convinced me to hold it and wait, because he thought John and I were just like had a bad marriage or something like that. And that wasn't the truth. He just didn't have it.
Right.
You know, and that, you know, that's not good. That's all you can do. So if he gets it back, I'll go play. I got songs.
So you're saying there's a chance. Well, you know what? I believe in miracles, and I pray that you and John will sing that song together. I mean, that's...
I agree with you, though.
Okay, good. I mean, I love you, Richie.
I swear to God, it's honest to God truth.
That's awesome.
You know, and it's like, I told everybody that I would, without a doubt, go back. The world needs it.
The world
and you know
needs
what?
it.
I Pray
Yes.
is about that. When you really look at it, it was about, you know, it's called life. Feeling full of holes. All my yeses to the no's. Hey.
I just think in a time right now where there's so much conflict and so many differences, we need every opportunity to bring things together and unite. And music is a perfect way to do it.
And that is where my lyric writing and the songs really come together. And even miracles. I mean, you better start believing. If you don't,
Right.
now's the time to try.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We need hope. We
Yeah,
need hope. We need love.
We need hope.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really the truth. And then Living Alone. I started writing that song when I was very, very young. I was about 19 and a half. And I
Really?
revisited it during COVID because just think about how many people were alone
Yeah.
at that point. In a place where they didn't know when they were going to stop being alone.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you can be alone in a relationship, whether
Of
you know, so it has
course.
a lot of different
Connotations.
connotations. So it's a bit more of a somber kind of thing, but also using the electric 12-string. You know, when I did Wanted Dead or Alive, there was no electric 12-string on radio at that point. And, you know, being a Led Zeppelin disciple, obviously, where, you know, Jimmy used 12-string all the time.
Right.
I mean, Stairway to Heaven, people might think that is an amazing, amazing song, you know, and 12-string. So,
Right.
and Houses of the Holy, I mean, you know, all that stuff was all
my
12-string.
favorite.
And it was on the radio all the time. And then there was a void that didn't have it. And my thing was and plus I needed to bring guys to the show because a lot of guys weren't coming to the show because John was like too good looking. They just didn't show up. But meanwhile, I had a rhythm section of Tico Torres, Alec John Such, and myself, Tico Torres, Hugh McDonald, that we played. It was heavy. We could stand up to, you know, that's what we did. We did Queen and Zepp and everything in the cover bands that we were in before that. So it was that kind of thing. And I just said, and then that riff came out of me in my mother's basement.
That's unbelievable. It's so special. It's so special. Are you still in touch with the other guys in the band?
Yeah, no, you know, it's like casually because
Right.
there's a you know, there's a bit of a rift
Yeah.
because I didn't agree with everything in that documentary.
Right.
And it was, you know, I think in bands, like in any kind of even marriage, relationship, whatever, there's going to be blips in the radar screen. There's going to be stuff going on. And it didn't deserve to be mounted on me so hard. And that was, Jesus, it seemed like a lifetime ago. It was like 15 years ago or something, 17 years ago and stuff like that happened. So, and anything that I did well was unmentioned. So I just shut up. That was it.
In this time since you leaving the band, what have you discovered about yourself?
There's life. Because we worked really, really, really hard. I mean, you know, and especially John and I, because we had to write the songs, and I was always a co-producer on the records.
Yeah.
And so I spent every moment. So when the rest of the guys got a chance to live a little bit of that life, and, you know, everybody just wanted to talk to me and John anyway. And, you know, I've had some famous girlfriends on for... that, which was a lot of fun, to be honest with
Right.
you. You know what I mean? I had a great time, and, made some hit records and things like that outside of the band.
Right.
Also did my own albums and my own tours.
Yes.
And so I think I had a lot of fun.
Looking back at your entire career and your personal journey, what makes you the most proud?
My daughter.
Oh, Ava.
My daughter.
beautiful.
That she turned out the way she did is an astounding thing. I mean, and she's just blossomed into an amazing woman. Just got her master's degree in psychology.
Amazing.
And going on to be a doctor. And we have a pretty crazy, amazing relationship,
It's absolutely
I mean,
beautiful.
it is a beautiful thing. And she just got engaged.
Congratulations. I saw. That's so
It's
exciting.
awesome, And then the other thing would be how the songs translated across this planet.
Yeah.
I mean,
And continue to do
and
so.
all I-
and continue to.
I'm just a funnel. It's not like I mean, no. It's about the amalgamation of study and education that was matrixed into my system, that you got to make a recording that is going to have that kind of gravitas.
Yes.
Where people are going to go, shit, I feel like that. I mean, seriously. I mean,
That's right.
so, and then once you get on top of it and you get a couple under your belt, how can you go backwards?
Right.
I mean, I never could. But then when you're in a band, people interpret fame and fortune at different speeds, and they have different lives, and what goes on, what happened to them in the past, how they're interpreting it in this present moment that they're becoming rich, famous, and all of that at the same point. I just never stopped working myself. So, and I was lucky because I was virtually unaffected. I'm the same cat, man. I'm the same cat that I was when I was 15 years old. It's like the same thing. It's not really, and I still got the same friends for 40 years. The same, it's like the same group of people.
Yeah,
and,
that speaks
a lot
volumes.
a lot of them are in the music business.
Are there words that you live by?
Love, peace, understanding,
Yeah.
compassion,
Compassion.
unjudgmental, inclusion, oneness about the planet, because like I said, I'm living proof. I've been around this world, I can't tell you how many times. But, last tour I did with Bon Jovi was 18 and a half months in 52 countries.
Unbelievable.
Who can name 52 countries?
Well, I have a word, and it is grateful, because you are
That's another word.
grateful.
I wake up every morning with grateful. Yeah.
I am just sitting here beaming because you are such a delight, and thank you for sharing your stories with me and with us. And
Please,
I genuinely love this new music, and I'm excited for this era of Richie Sambora.
Yeah, it's a new era.
It is.
It's called Beyond Jovi.
Beyond Jovi. Beyond Jovi. Oh my God, Richie.
Well, there has
thank
to
you.
be.
I know. Thank you so much. Ugh. Ugh. We'll be right back.
And I'm passing through the E. Tommy used to work on the job. Unions don't strike. He's down on love stuff. Hey, we got a hold on to what doesn't make a difference if you make it all. Oh, hey, hey, hey. Sing it. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Oh, living on a prayer, living on a prayer.
Is this happening right now? I'm dead. Okay, that was one of my favorite interviews of all time. I mean, I sang Livin' on a Prayer with Richie Sambora. It was surreal and awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for being part of the Allison Hagendorf Show presented by Cloudwater. A huge thank you to our other partners as well, Danny Wimmer Presents and Karma Sauce. Thank you to our friends at Arctic Zone. Thank you, Tribute Project, for my Couture Bon Jovi blazer. And most importantly, thank you. I would love to hear from you. So please like, comment, rate, review, whatever you're feeling, and reach out to me on socials at Allie Hagendorf. I'd love to connect with you. Let me know who I should interview next and what made you smile today. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. And remember, you're a rock star.